7 signs your indoor plant is in trouble, and how to save it. Most houseplants don't die suddenly. Their decline is a gradual process, a silent story written in the language of their leaves and stems. Long before a plant completely fails, it usually sends out small warning signals. The problem isn't that plants are fragile. The problem is that most people don't recognize what they're seeing. A slightly yellow leaf doesn't feel urgent. A bit of drooping seems harmless. Slower growth can go unnoticed for months. But these subtle changes aren't random. They are communication. In this guide, you won't just learn the 7 most common signs your plant is struggling, you'll discover how to correct each one with practical adjustments and, most importantly, the why behind them from a botanical perspective. Once you understand what your plant is telling you, care becomes much easier and more predictable. Hecho Audio 1. The mystery of yellow leaves, chlorosis. When people see yellow leaves, the instinct is often to water more. However, in indoor environments, yellowing, known as chlorosis, is frequently caused by overwatering, not underwatering. Roots need oxygen just as much as they need water. When soil remains constantly wet, the oxygen pockets disappear. Without oxygen, roots weaken and begin to die. Weakened roots can't absorb nutrients efficiently, especially nitrogen and iron, which are essential for that rich green color. That's when leaves, typically starting with the oldest ones, begin to turn yellow. Generalized yellowing usually points to overwatering or poor drainage. Yellowing only on new leaves can indicate a nutrient deficiency, often iron. Lower leaves yellowing and dropping can sometimes be part of the plant's natural aging cycle, especially if the top growth remains healthy. If you notice yellowing, pause before watering again. Check the soil properly by inserting your finger 1 to 2 inches below the surface. If it still feels damp, wait several more days. Many common plants prefer to dry out partially between waterings. Inspect the container carefully. Make sure it has proper drainage holes. Avoid allowing excess water to sit in the saucer underneath, since stagnant water can keep the soil saturated. If the issue continues, consider your water quality. Letting tap water sit for 24 hours before use can help reduce chemical stress. 2. Brown, crispy leaf tips, a cry for humidity. This is extremely common, especially in climate-controlled homes. Heating and air conditioning systems significantly reduce indoor humidity. Many tropical plants evolved in environments with high relative humidity. Indoors, humidity levels are often much lower. Plants absorb water through their roots and release it through tiny pores on their leaves in a process called transpiration. When the air is too dry, transpiration increases, and the plant loses water faster than it can replace it. The cells at the tips and edges of the leaves are the first to dry out, creating that brown, crispy appearance. If only the tips are brown, the issue is usually low humidity or inconsistent watering. Brown spots with yellow halos may suggest sunburn or a fungal issue. To improve conditions, focus on environmental stability. Group plants together to create a small microclimate. Place pots on pebble trays with water below the base, ensuring the pot itself does not sit directly in water. For very dry environments, a humidifier is the most effective solution. Misting can provide temporary relief but should not be relied upon alone. Hecho Audio 3. Wilting, but the soil is wet, the root rot paradox. This situation confuses many plant owners. The plant appears wilted, as if thirsty, yet the soil feels wet. Wilting in wet soil often indicates root rot. When roots sit in saturated conditions for too long, they begin to decay due to fungal pathogens. Once roots start rotting, they lose the ability to transport water upward. Even though the soil contains moisture, the leaves behave as if the plant is dehydrated. A foul, musty smell from the soil is a strong indicator. The only way to confirm is to gently remove the plant from its pot. Healthy roots are firm and light-colored. Damaged roots appear dark, soft, or mushy. Quick action is essential. Carefully remove affected roots using sterilized tools. Discard the old soil and repot the plant into fresh, well-draining mix in a clean container. Going forward, allow the soil to partially dry between waterings and never let water remain in the saucer. Hecho. 4. Pale leaves and leggy stems, a reach for the light. Plants depend on light to fuel photosynthesis. Without adequate light, energy production drops. Leaves may lose their deep green color, and stems may stretch unnaturally toward the nearest light source. This process, called etiolation, is a survival mechanism. In low light, plants produce hormones that cause stems to elongate rapidly in search of better conditions. New growth often appears pale and smaller because chlorophyll production is reduced. Long spaces between leaves, smaller new growth, dull coloration, and leaning toward a window are all signs of insufficient light. Before adding fertilizer, evaluate lighting conditions. Move the plant closer to a brighter window if possible. If natural light is limited, a grow light can significantly improve health. When changing light exposure dramatically, always acclimate gradually to avoid leaf scorch. 5. Slow or stalled growth, the prison of roots. If your plant hasn't produced new growth in months despite proper care, it may be root-bound. As roots expand, they eventually fill the container completely. When there is no room left, growth slows down. The soil can become compacted, and water may pass straight through without proper absorption. Visible roots emerging from drainage holes or a dense mass of roots circling inside the pot are clear signs. The solution is repotting into a container slightly larger, just 1 to 2 inches wider in diameter. Loosen tightly bound roots gently and use fresh, high-quality potting mix. Avoid adding rocks at the bottom of the pot, as this can worsen drainage rather than improve it. 6. Sudden leaf drop, the stress of change. Sudden leaf drop often occurs without prior yellowing and is usually linked to environmental shock. Plants value consistency. Moving to a new room, exposure to drafts, or temperature fluctuations can trigger stress responses. Even brief exposure to cold temperatures can damage tissue and cause leaves to fall. If leaves drop while still green, environmental change is often the cause. If they turn black or mushy, cold damage may be involved. Keep plants in stable locations away from vents, heaters, and cold drafts. Allow time for adjustment before making additional changes. 7. Soft or mushy stems, the major alarm signal. Soft stems, especially at the base, indicate serious issues. Firm stems reflect structural strength and proper hydration, while soft stems often suggest prolonged overwatering and fungal infection. If the base feels weak or collapses under gentle pressure, immediate action is required. A foul odor may accompany advanced rot. Prune affected areas using sterilized tools. Improve drainage urgently and ensure proper airflow. In severe cases, repotting into a more aerated soil mix may be necessary. Beyond the 7 signs, pests and hidden problems. Not all plant issues are related to water or light. Pests can also create warning signals. Fine yellow speckling and webbing often indicate spider mites. White cottony masses suggest mealybugs. Small flying insects near the soil are usually fungus gnats. Black or brown spots with yellow halos may signal leaf spot diseases. A white powdery coating on leaves is commonly powdery mildew. Early detection and improved airflow are key to prevention and control. Conclusion: the art of observation. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. Healthy plant care depends less on rigid schedules and more on consistent observation. When you recognize early warning signs, whether yellow leaves, leggy stems, root issues, or pests, small corrections can prevent major problems. Your plant isn't failing randomly. It's responding to its environment. When you learn to interpret those signals and make thoughtful adjustments, plant care becomes far more predictable and far less stressful. If you found this guide helpful, subscribe for more practical plant guidance designed for real indoor environments. Because with the right adjustments, a struggling plant can become a thriving one.